Good morning, grade 7 students. Today is May 18, 2020, and welcome to the continuation of our topic, Pronoun Antecedent Agreement, focusing on indefinite pronouns. Let us have the three expectations first before we start our lesson. The first one is to play in the instructional video and answer the questions posted on this video. Second, complete the assigned core task. And third, complete the Mastery Connect quiz. Now let's go to our learning objective. Our learning objective for today is that all students will use the rules of pronoun antecedent agreement in different contexts correctly. And for our keywords, our topic, pronoun antecedent agreement, focusing on indefinite pronouns. Let's move on to our starter activity. And for our starter activity, as usual, choose the correct pronoun that agrees with its antecedent. Number 1. Every person has his or her, their ambition in life. Number 2. Someone has raised his or her, his concern to the management. Number 3. Many individuals are reflecting his or her, their views about the message of the pandemic to the humankind. Your turn. Please choose your answer. Our topic for today is pronoun antecedent agreement, focusing on indefinite pronouns. Last week, we studied about compound nouns. Today, we will focus on indefinite pronouns. Let us have the rule. The first rule. Use a singular personal pronoun when its antecedent is a singular indefinite pronoun. These are the singular indefinite pronouns. We have anybody, anyone, anything, each, either, everybody, everyone, everything, neither, nobody, no one, nothing. One, somebody, someone, and something. We all know that when we see all these singular indefinite pronouns, we already know that we need to use singular indefinite pronoun. Same with subject and verb agreement before. However, we will focus on pronoun antecedent agreement, indefinite pronouns. So let us have the first example. Look at the image. Alright, and let us have the sentence. Number 1. Anyone who is late for the test will take his or her test at the library. Our pronoun here is his or her. Why did I use this one? Because look at the antecedent. Our antecedent is anyone. And anyone is indicating singular indefinite pronoun, meaning to say it is a singular. So, why his or her? Because we do not know exactly the gender of our antecedent. That's why I use his or her. Number 2, look at the image. And let us have the sentence. One of the dogs has lost its bone. Why did I use its here? Because our object or our antecedent is one. Okay? One of the dogs. Now it's because we are pertaining to a dog. Neuter. Remember? Neuter, it's not a boy, it's not a girl. It's an animal. That's why I use its here. We cannot use his. Alright? So let's move on to our next slide. Now, there is another example, or there are two more examples with the same rule. For number 3, look at the image. For number 3, let us use everyone. Everyone can submit his or her task at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And again, our pronoun here is his or her, and our antecedent is everyone. That's the reason why I use his or her, because I do not know the gender of our antecedent. It is an indefinite pronoun. Number 4, we need somebody to show himself or herself and to explain how to resolve this challenge. Again, I use reflexive pronouns here, himself or herself. We will study more about reflexive pronoun. However, somebody, meaning to say this is an indefinite pronoun. That's why I use himself or herself here. Okay, so let's move on to our next slide. And so I would like to check your understanding. Let us practice. Choose the correct pronoun that agrees with its antecedent, focusing on singular indefinite pronoun. Number 1, no one is allowed to go out without blank pass. A, his or her. B, their. Number 2, I know someone who is called Jimmy. He visited blank grandmother today. A, his. B, his or her. And number 3, each of the boys should wear gloves and masks to protect blank. A, himself. B, themselves. Your turn. Please choose the correct answer for each sentence. Thank you. Now let us have the second rule, using a plural personal pronoun. Use a plural personal pronoun when its antecedent is a plural indefinite pronoun. Let's have these examples of plural indefinite pronouns. We have both, few, many, and several. Look at the first image. Number 1, both fishermen pick up early their fish nets in the port. What is our pronoun here? We have their. Why? Because our antecedent is both. Plural indefinite pronoun. It is a plural indefinite pronoun. And look at the fisherman. Look at the spelling. M-E-N. Fisherman, not fisherman. Alright? Fisherman is the plural form of fisherman. So be careful also. When you use plural indefinite pronoun, make sure that you use the plural form of the object of the noun. Or the nouns, I mean to say. Okay? Number 2, there are several taxi drivers who are not able to accomplish their target today. Our pronoun as usual, their, and our antecedent, several taxi drivers. Number 3, few of the consumers were restricted to buy their stuffs. Okay, our pronoun their, and our antecedent, few, and then consumers with s there. So I hope this one is clear. Let's move on to our next topic, or next slide. There are some indefinite pronouns that are complex to use, like all, any, most, none, some. Let us fix or solve the problem of avoiding problems with pronoun antecedent agreement. Okay, so look at these two sentences. Number 1, most of the flour fell out of each canister. Our pronoun here is its, and our antecedent here is most. However, look at the underlined word, flour. If the object is uncountable meaning we cannot count it into pieces, like one by one, like can we count flour in 1, 2, 3? No, we cannot count like this way. So, if we have an uncountable noun or object like flour, then the pronoun has to be singular, its. Okay, so we will use its, not their. Now, when are we going to use their then, miss? You might be asking me this question. Yes, let us have this solution or explanation. Number 2, most of the gems have lost their shine. Here, our pronoun is their, and our antecedent is most, the same with number 1. However, look at the underlined word, gems. If the object is countable, we can count it then. Okay, like 1, 2, 3, into pieces, we can count it. Like gems, then the pronoun needs to be plural there. That's the time we use there, right? So always check the object also. If it is countable or uncountable, then decide which pronoun are you going to use. Is it its or their? Let's move on to our next slide. Now let's practice. Choose the correct pronoun that agrees with its antecedent, focusing on plural indefinite pronoun. Number 1, most of the white spaghetti has lost its, their creamy taste. Number 2, many of the businessmen have closed his, their shops. Number 3, all doctors have stayed late in the hospital for their its patients. Number 4, some people were holding their its courage to move on in life. Your turn. Please choose the correct answer. Thank you. And for our relevance to real life application, all families celebrate their special month of Ramadan in a solemn way. Our pronoun here is their, and our antecedent is all. Families is the object. And then let us proceed with the second one. Everyone is performing his or her fasting during Ramadan in the UAE. And our pronoun his or her, and the antecedent is everyone. Again, happy Ramadan, everyone. And let's move on to our next slide. Expert group activity, group 1 or A will have a list of sentences. They have to identify the pronoun that agrees with its antecedent, focusing on indefinite pronouns. They will also construct 2 sentences that contain the rules of pronoun antecedent agreement. Number 2 or B will either create a short quiz or write 5 sentences that contain the rules of pronoun antecedent agreement, focusing on indefinite pronouns. They must provide the answers as well. And group 3 or C will create a paragraph or a story about Ramadan celebration using the indefinite pronouns. They should use the rules of pronoun antecedent agreement. They will underline the pronouns and their antecedents as well. So let's move on to our next slide. A very kind reminder, please don't forget to click the turn in button right away after you complete your work in Google Slides. And please do not turn in yet if you haven't completed your work. You have to complete first. Otherwise, you will not get marks on it or score for your work. And for our assessment for learning, answer the checking for understanding questions through Mastery Connect. See the ID posted on the Google Classroom. That's all for today, students. Thank you, and again, happy Ramadan. Best of luck.